What you're going to witness today is what happens when sports analysts stop being analysts and just go on lazy witch hunts. This is what happens when instead of providing you with critical thinking, they lead you down a lazy path of bashing. This is what happens when they don't look at the actual stats and instead play the scapegoat game. This causes someone like me, who doesn't even like Russell Westbrook, to take a closer look at Russell Westbrook and ultimately defend him. Looking at the box score from last night, I'm seeing that LeBron James had 0 offensive rebounds. And the reason I'm thinking about that is there's a play in particular in which Westbrook out-rebounded Giannis. It was very impressive. But LeBron had 5 total rebounds. And he's a giant. He's a giant out there, and he had 5. Westbrook had 10. Westbrook had 10 rebounds. Not only did Westbrook have 10 rebounds, but Westbrook fed LeBron James multiple times on fast breaks that led to easy points for LeBron. And the next day, all you're hearing is the crucifixion of Westbrook. It's so biased that it's made someone who doesn't even care about Westbrook want to defend him. That's me, by the way. In that game, Westbrook had 4 turnovers. That's not good. Guess how many LeBron had? Yep. To date, Westbrook only has 1 more turnover per game than LeBron James. 1. I mean, the way people talk about Westbrook's turnovers, you'd think that he had 10 more per game than LeBron James. 1. So let that sink in. 1 per game. 1 per game. More than the supposed savior of the team. The villain of the team has 1 less than that guy. I watched some of the game last night, and in a 3-minute span, LeBron James missed 3 layups. Oh, well, you're going to make all these excuses for him because you're LeBoners. If that was Russell Westbrook, you would be crucifying him. You'd be burning him at the stake. It would be all over the media. Do you think you're going to hear anything about LeBron James's missed layups? Now, how about this next sequence? Why isn't this in the news? Look at the top right of your screen. Now, LeBron James shoots a break. His teammates hustle for the rebound, and then they try to reward him by giving him an alley-oop. The alley-oop does not work. What does LeBron James do? LeBron James quits. Look at him. Look at his body language. And look at the entire play. LeBron never, ever gets across half court. Someone mentioned that. Now, earlier this season, I took a look at the Lakers specifically in terms of team leaders. And this was even when LeBron was playing, and everyone across the board was Westbrook or AD. After last night, I decided to take a look at that again. Westbrook is the leader all the way across. All the way across. Except for Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony is edging him out in the blocks category. Now, I'm actually confused by this. Most of the categories I'm not. Westbrook works harder than LeBron James in rebounding and assists and steals, but you always hear about LeBron in the points category. And yet, Westbrook is still the leader even in that category. How the is that possible? Unless you're being lied to. Not lied to, but misguided. Misguided. That's a better word. Because it's not that LeBron James is the worst player out there. I can't say that he isn't a basketball talent, and I can't say that I wouldn't want his size on my team. I would certainly want his bias with the referees and the league on my team. But this is NBA.com stats. And LeBron's not even the leader on his own team. And y'all are burning Russell Westbrook at the stake. I'm just talking about being fair. I wouldn't be putting so much effort into ripping on LeBron if these analysts were fair. I mean, you leave out everything bad that LeBron does and just rip Westbrook to pieces. It's not objective. It's not objective reporting. Let me look at some stats to get me hyped up here. So I like to look at the leaderboards from yesterday. And if we look at the Lakers and the Bucks specifically, you'll see that LeBron James, Mr. Everybody's always talking about the incredible performance of LeBron James, is not in a single leaderboard category. Not one. Not one. Giannis is in 2. That's expected. He's in at least 2 every game he plays. And we do have Anthony Davis from the Lakers in the blocks category. What did LeBron have? 26? And the announcers are saying, despite LeBron's 26-point performance, despite LeBron's deflating of the team, getting his opportunities that don't turn into wins, not to mention the fact that 26 points is well under number 5 on the list of the leaders just from last night. Luka with 33, Giannis with 44. And you're going to talk about LeBron James's 26? The only category LeBron ever gets into in the leaderboards is the points. And it's on nights where he costs his team dearly. They almost always lose on his big scoring nights. Talking about winning and losing in performances, let's now look at Russell Westbrook. Now I'm looking at the NBA Advanced Stats page following last night. And I'm scrolling down it. I see Embiid, Giannis, Young. I mean, you go down and LeBron James's name is not on there, on the official leaders list. This isn't mine. This isn't my biased stat report. This is NBA.com. And yet all you're hearing about is LeBron James's performance and LeBron can't get the Lakers past blah, blah, blah. Fuck. How about the Lakers can't get past LeBron? Last night, Westbrook was 0 for 1 from threes. LeBron was 3 for 7. Which one's worse? Which one's worse? And this actually has more content to it than you might think, because I watched this game live, and when LeBron had the ball, I just watched the offense die. I just watched him fucking suck all the energy out of the offense until he finally decides to do something. An ill-advised shot because he's a terrible three-point shooter, or finally at the last minute deciding to pass to a teammate, which actually puts the teammate in a bad position, a pressure position, not an opportunity, not a position to excel or score or be better, but bail me the fuck out because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing other than being big and dribbling up here at the top of the key. If I can't find a way to bowl over someone on my way to the rim, I'm either gonna fucking chuck up a shitty three or make you bail me up. How much more do I have to say? It's like, fuck, I could analyze this shit forever. Haven't I said enough? Now, I was upset before I even watched Skip and Shannon, and these two have just made a mockery of analyzing sports, because they aren't analyzing sports. They're just beating a wounded animal. They're just like kicking a little kid on the playground like bullies, instead of thinking in a critical manner or analytically. All they want to do is crap on Westbrook while not looking at any of the facts. For example, they actually ripped on him for trying to console his teammates. Well, first and foremost, why isn't the team leader doing that? Why isn't LeBron James doing that? Well, if you're like me, you know he's never been that person. He's the one to walk away with mopey shoulders. He's not the one to lift the team. But they go on to talk about the Laker comeback and that Russ got benched, and don't mention once that the comeback took place while LeBron was on the bench. How do you leave out that detail? While the game was live, I posted a video of the announcers talking about the comeback, cutting the deficit from 25 to 12. Right after I posted that, they put LeBron back in, and that was the end of the comeback. I mean, that tells you so much. And all you can do is talk about Westbrook? How come it wasn't putting Westbrook back in that caused the end of the comeback? You put LeBron in and it ended the comeback. That's got to be worth mentioning. That's got to be worth at least analyzing to figure out exactly what happened. No. Put LeBron in the safe place and let's just shit all over Russ. That's lazy. That's not critical thinking. And, well, it's what leads to this society of people thinking LeBron James is great, no matter how fucking terrible he is. Mr. Turnover Machine, Shannon always likes to call him. Look at the stats, Shannon. Your boy LeBron is a turnover machine and a terrible shooter. He didn't get away with offensive fouls or get easy layups and dunks, many of which are thanks to Westbrook. He wouldn't have fucking shit on his resume. Portis ate LeBron James alive last night. You want to mention that? You want to mention LeBron James's complete and utter failure on defense last night? No. Let's talk about the entire rest of the team. Have you looked at Westbrook's performance when LeBron is out? Have you seen how the team starts to come together? I even heard the announcers last night talk about the chemistry between Malik Monk and AD. They didn't talk about the chemistry between LeBron James and AD. But what I'm getting at is, how do you expect Westbrook to be the same Westbrook when LeBron is playing? When LeBron's out, Westbrook has these fantastic performances. It's like, oh yeah, that's the guy that they traded for. That's who they wanted on the team. Well, of course, he doesn't put up the same numbers when LeBron is playing. How could he? No, honest to God, not even ripping on LeBron James. How can you put LeBron back in the lineup and expect Westbrook to get the same performance results as when LeBron wasn't in the lineup? I mean, that's just ridiculously unfair. But more importantly is the realization that Westbrook performs well when LeBron is out. You know, the Wizards improved with Westbrook. It's not like the Wizards went into the tank when Westbrook was there. You remove LeBron James from the equation. Let's just stop thinking about LeBron James for a minute, because things just go off the rails in the desperate attempt to defend him. If you remove LeBron James from the equation, if you remove him from your subconscious in this conversation, and you look at that Lakers roster, you can't possibly say that's a bad team. AD and Westbrook alone is a powerhouse of stars. And then you add in the experience of so many former all-stars, champions even, as well as their young emerging talent. If this was any other team, you would say that they were stacked and in a good position before bringing LeBron into the conversation. And as soon as LeBron enters the conversation, you're immediately showered with excuses about why it's not working. Because if LeBron was an actual GOAT and you inserted him into a team with that sort of potential, the results should absolutely be a championship. LeBron's not a GOAT. Not at all. He's a repeating failure of having everything given to him and still falling short.